Welcome to Candid Catholic Convos, a program brought to you by the Catholic Diocese of Harrisburg. Our mission is to humanize the Church and help you to grow in your faith, love, and understanding. I'm your host, Rachel Trochet, a cradle Catholic who's only human and struggled with faith on more than one occasion. Each week, you'll hear engaging, down-to-earth interviews and actionable strategies you can implement into your life with ease to help you grow closer to God. If you're ready to open your heart and step fully into the person God created you to be, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Candid Catholic Convos. This past weekend, my kids and I got to talking. We started daydreaming about all the fun things we want to do this summer, everything we want to do when we go on vacation, and the ever-evolving question, what do you want to be when you grow up? The answers I got were pretty typical for a 9, 7.5, and 6-year-old. My oldest wants to be a police officer and a soldier in the army like Daddy. My middle child wants to be a professional wrestler, and my youngest now wants to be a veterinarian. I always thought vocation was synonymous with job, used interchangeably, but it turns out a vocation carries a much deeper significance, more who you are, not just what you do. Or better still, not just what you want to be when you grow up, but who God calls you to be. Today I'm excited to introduce to you one of our transitional deacons, soon to be ordained a priest in just a couple weeks, Deacon St. Denis. And today we're going to talk about how he knew he was called to the priesthood and about how God speaks in the silence. Deacon St. Denis, welcome to Candid Catholic Convos.
Thank you so much. It's great to be on.
I am super excited for your upcoming ordination. I'm sure that you're like radiating with excitement right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been, literally years in the making. So it's super exciting. Personally, I've been in higher ed / seminary now for 10 years. So I think I'm right now really excited just to be done with school. And then as soon as I pack up my bags from the seminary, it is all focus on ordination. And just, it's just so exciting. So excited to finally kind of hit the ground running, full time. So, yeah.
I heard Bishop Senior once refer to seminary as kind of like if you were going to school to be a heart surgeon. It's basically the same amount of time because you guys are you're not operating physically on hearts, but you're operating spiritually on hearts.
Yeah, it's like us being spiritual doctors.
Yes.
And just having that ability to see, all right, what's going on and how can we help? How can we bring the Lord into this? Is so awesome and so great to see, in the lives of so many other priests, and they're a great example, but also, just learning from the priests at the seminary and the priests that I've been assigned with to just see that in action is so awesome. And so excited to join in on that as well.
Yeah. So for those who maybe haven't met you yet, because you're about to branch out into the whole diocese, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I was born down in Lancaster. I grew up just outside Mount Joy. My home parish is Mary Mother of the Church in Mount Joy. I absolutely love sports. From the time I was real little, I was involved with baseball. Played that all through up until high school. Got involved with baseball, football, bowling, track, cross country, like whatever I could do. Always just loved and be able to be active and compete. I even got roped into running cross country for a season in college. That was truly a penance, but never do that again. I just had this great love of wanting to be a physical therapist, actually, from a couple of injuries that I had gotten in high school and just going through PT. I was like, man, this is awesome. And looking back on it now, it's just realizing kind of what you said. It was the Lord steering me to that being a doctor of souls, but kind of first opening that door of like wanting to be a doctor, like a medical doctor. So it's cool to see how even in all of that, like the Lord has been bringing me to this place in this time right now. It's really, really awesome. But I have, a younger brother and a younger sister. And, we all just kind of grew up together and had such a fun time just playing with each other, and still to this day have each other just to talk to and lean on is really awesome. Yeah.
I bet they're super excited for you
my
as
gosh.
well.
Yeah, very, very excited. My sister's currently teaching out in Detroit
Wow.
as she was discerning with a religious order, and she's going to be coming home though. So I made sure that she could get on a flight to make it back for June 7th. So it's super, super exciting.
That's really cool. So you talked briefly about your childhood being super involved in sports, and then you had 2 siblings that you kind of hung out with.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's like a typical childhood? Like what when you think back, what does it kind of remind you of?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the typical, American childhood. You kind of grow up, play sports, be involved with Boy Scouts, get involved with the youth group, and, always coming together to be with the whole family, both my siblings and my parents, but even like extended family all coming together. It almost felt like all the time. So it was such a blessed environment to grow up in, to be able to nurture so many virtues and nurture this vocation in that environment, and being able to just learn so much and experience so much. So, looking back, I can really say I'm so thankful for the many blessings that the Lord has bestowed upon me and my family, and I can never be, thankful enough for it.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Just being able to have that support system behind you must mean the world. Yeah,
no, it's really awesome. And even, going through some rocky times in discernment, where not everyone was on board initially, but, it's not only, many years of seminary formation just to form myself, but also kind of to get everyone a better understanding of what is it that the Lord has called me to, what is it that, I was crazy enough to enter into, and to realize, oh, he's not entirely crazy. Like this is okay. Like the Lord is working in this as well. So, it's, I just realized I keep saying it's so awesome and so exciting, but it really is.
It really is. I especially for somebody who's not super familiar with it, like I always thought of seminary as like, oh, it's kind of like college, but really it's not. It's a lot more intense than college. Like I did 4 years and I was out.
Yep.
But you're going on 10 plus years of doing this.
Yeah. Well, I did 4 years of undergrad in college before entering, and I'm about to finish up my 6th year of seminary. So it was an interesting transition going from, your typical university to seminary. And yeah, it's definitely much more intense. Not necessarily like, the classes are harder or anything like that, but our life is so regulated, regimented, and not for the sake of it being regulated, regimented, but to help us foster virtue and help us to just mature as good Christian men, to help lay that bed then for the seeds of this vocation to really root and grow. But it's not just the regulations and the regiments, but it's like living in a huge fraternity with 140 other guys, and it's like the holiest group of people that everyone's trying to help each other build up virtue, help to build up in holiness, and grow in that relationship with Jesus, and just grow as brothers in Christ. So, it's intense, but it's also has its moments, or many more moments, of kind of a relaxed atmosphere of feeling like you're just part of a really big family. So it's kind of a little different from college, where it's like, all right, I'm going to forge my own way and do my thing, and now it's I'm going to enter into this family and be a part of something bigger than myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is such an important distinction to make, because it's not necessarily like all about the studying and the books and the grades. It's about truly discerning, like whether or not this is like, can't really change majors after you.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about more, because I feel you mentioned about it being a group of like holy men.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect when you walk into seminary, do you?
I'm far from it. Yeah, actually, like that was kind of one of my biggest things in discernment was I can't do this. Like I'm not this holy guy, that's praying 15 rosaries a day and doing all this stuff. And I've got all of my own, shortcomings that, by the grace of God, continually handing over to him and letting him work on me. But it really came to a moment, my junior year of college, where this question of the priesthood just continually kept coming up in my heart. I said, all right, Lord, if this is your will, then like you're going to have to be the one to open the doors. You're going to have to be the one to really take care of things. And I'm not going to worry about, those questions of, am I smart enough? Am I holy enough? Am I good enough? Or any of that. It's going to be, God, if you're calling me to this, then help get me through. And if you're not, close the door and I'll go. But, thank God he's really helped me to continue to embrace this vocation, embrace this call, and embrace just the Christian life even more fully, to want to grow in holiness myself, and from that want to call others into this life of holiness.
What a powerful prayer! Like, if this is what you want to do, like, just help, like, show me the way. Just open the doors for me. Because if it's something that you want me to do, it won't be. Oh yeah. Like it's not like the path won't be difficult, but
right.
He doesn't.
Exactly.
He doesn't promise that it's not going to be difficult, but it is. He will show you the way. And
yeah.
That's so powerful. Just the way that you said that.
Yeah, I had a priest after I had kind of gone through this, because ultimately what I did was during that Lent, I was like, all right, God, I'm going to make a deal with you. Like, I'm going to pray a rosary every day, just asking Our Lady's intercession and this help of discernment. And, you got to show me what it is, and whatever it is, I'm doing it. And this priest said, be careful what you ask for. When you open that door to God, he's going to come in. So, and thank God that he has. So,
yeah. You mentioned hearing the call about your junior year in college. Was there anything like earlier in life? Did you ever have any inkling earlier, like maybe this is something I should do, and it just kind of sat dormant? Or was that instance in college the first time that you heard it?
No, I was an altar server at my home parish growing up from second grade on. And I'll never forget, I was either 11 or 12. And before Mass one day, the parish priest came up to me, like, Andrew, you're going to be a priest one day. Like, there's no way that's ever going to happen. But then I started praying about it. And like my prayer shifted from that, like the prayer of an immature 11-year-old, at least I was, of like, God, give me a PlayStation, and like, or whatever, to Jesus, what are you calling me to? What have you made me for? Show me your love. Show me how you want me to love others. And it was just this constant calling of like, all right, be a priest. Be a priest. I was like, oh, well, okay. And then I just kind of tried to push it away and hide and run away from it until I couldn't anymore. So it was even just the discernment alone was years in the making. So, but yeah.
That's awesome. And then all that just kind of led to this opening of doors and just continuing to open doors. And that's so powerful. Yeah.
And what was fun was like looking back on it then and talking to people like, yeah, we saw this coming from, a mile away. Like, even people that I barely knew, they're like, oh yeah, he's got to be a priest. Like, okay. Everyone else saw it. I couldn't see it exactly, and I was running away from it, but, yeah, like, all right, this is what you made me for, Lord. So I'll go.
Yeah. Can't really argue with that, right?
No. I tend to lose every argument with God, so I might as well say yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So we talked about some of the doubts that you had when you walked in. You thought like, I'm not holy enough. I'm not quite good enough for this. But what were some of your biggest surprises or biggest joys? Like once you got there, that kind of like alleviated a lot of those fears.
Yeah. I remember just coming in. It was one of the first nights, and we had like a house party. And so it's just all the guys just hanging out and like just kicking back, sitting around a campfire or sitting around the table just talking. And I thought to myself, like, man, this is not at all what I thought seminary was going to be like. I thought it was going to be like this monastic, like everyone's in their pew, read their Bible, sit around. All you do is pray and study, and that is it. And then that was kind of that first realization, like, no, this is something more. Not that, prayer and study is less, but I was thinking of seminary as too small. It was an invitation to bring my whole self into this, to grow in these relationships with my brothers and be able to learn from them, be able to gain wisdom from them. And now as a deacon at the seminary, like being able to share some of that I've received from them and pass it on to the new guys that are in the seminary now. And so that was kind of like one of the first, like, oh, this is not at all what I was expecting. But also just sitting down and getting to know those guys. And we have such an awesome tradition at St. Charles of having like small groups where we'll meet together to pray and just share grace and share what's going on in our lives. And joining up with one of the small groups and just getting to hear the other guy's stories, I was like, oh, I can relate to that. I can share this. And just recognizing, like, I'm not the only one that walked in here thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not holy enough. And, the guy that I thought had it all together is also struggling with that same thing of, like, I'm not good enough. So, and I was given this great advice. One of my first weeks, I went and talked with one of the priests there, and he's like, just don't judge anyone that's here. Like, you think that this guy's got it all together. He's like, I've been a priest for 40 years. I don't have it all together. Like, no one does. Only our Lord and Our Lady. So all we can do is continue to show up and pray and to live our lives in a holy manner. And that's all we could do. And that really helped kind of break that tension that I had in myself of, like, I don't belong here. And just realizing, yeah, we're all kind of, going through something, and we're all going, we all got our stuff, and, the Lord's working in and through that even. So, that was a really helpful, really helpful thing to kind of break through and break into seminary formation and really engage that then, instead of just thinking I have to perfect myself and everything's going to be good and then I can show up. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is advice that I wish I had gotten as a new mom, because I always felt like everything had to be Pinterest perfect.
Oh
and
my
like,
gosh, yeah.
If the kid wasn't coloring the right, like I was just like, now my kids are 9, 7, and 5, but like in those early years, like that's what I wish.
Yeah.
I had somebody to come in and be like, none of us know what we're doing.
Exactly.
We're all flying by the seat of our pants.
Yep.
And then to just like, the best part I think about from what you have said about seminary is just having that, like, that community of people who are on the same journey. None of y'all know what you're doing, and you're figuring it out, and just listening to you're letting God, like, for lack of a better term, you let Jesus take the wheel.
Exactly.
And just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I think that's kind of what's missing in so many of the young men that I talk to that are thinking about the priesthood, or, maybe I'll mention it to them and they're like, well, I'm not this, I'm not perfect, I have to be like this thing. It's like, no, you don't. You just have to, be able and willing to bring yourself before our Lord, and He'll do the work. We just have to show up, and try our best. And that's for discernment. That's for, being a parent. It's for being a priest. It's for everyone. It's like, just show up and let the Lord work in and through us. So, yeah.
Oh, what great universal advice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
The you that entered seminary, how is that you different from the you that's sitting here today? Or what's changed? What's the same?
Yeah. I think although I knew that I'm not perfect or was, worried, I still came in with a lot of my own ideals and like I'm gonna come in and I can do this and I can fix this problem or whatever. No, I can't. Like the greatest impact I can have is to just be a man of prayer and be there for the people that God has entrusted me to, or has entrusted to me, and just to be faithful to Him. And that's all I can really do. I can't come in with any of my own ideas and run my own crusades or whatever. It's just like just be myself and be a true disciple of Jesus. And I think that was probably one of the biggest and hardest lessons I had to learn in seminary, is that everyone else isn't me, and I'm not everyone else. We're all different, but we're all disciples. I think also like the me that entered seminary kind of went in a little like timid, I would say, of the spiritual life and of what was coming. But now I think it's a grace from that discernment of being willing to just open the door, where now it's a greater trust that God's got it. Whatever's going on, I can let go and just let God take care of it. And I think that's been such an awesome grace. There's one other thing. I think I've grown in a greater compassion over the past 6 years. At St. Charles, we do this awesome program of apostolates. So every Thursday, we don't have classes, thank God. And I'm not an academic. And we'll go out and get assigned to like a parish, a school, college, prison, which is high school, or like any of those kind of places where if they could see you being a priest there one day, then they're going to put you there for a year, and you get to be there every week. And just getting to meet so many different people from all different walks of life, and being able to see that there is the one universal of like, we all need Jesus, but how is God calling me to help them get from where they are to where He's trying to bring them to? That's different from each and every person, and being able to just grow in that understanding of where I'm at, like you might not be, and where you're at, I might not be, and just being able to work with the grace of God to help meet the people where they're at and bring them to Christ. And that's going to be, His work. And, I just get this awesome opportunity to be a part of that mission. So
I love that. That is, it's so profound. My husband's in the military, and he has to deal with military leadership all the time. And I think that like in leadership positions, I think that kind of empathy is lacking in a lot of places. But to hear you say that you're approaching these people with this, okay, where are you at? Let me right. just meet you there. That is just mind-blowingly amazing. Exactly. that we're going to have you as a priest in this diocese now, being able to talk to people who, maybe stepped away from the church, or maybe have never been Catholic before, or maybe are having a difficult relationship with God right now. I know personally there were a couple times that he and I were not speaking. So it's that's incredible.
Yeah. I think, that kind of comes too from, like going back to the discernment thing, I think it came back to my heart because in running away from it, I ran away from everything. Like I had that experience of like 2 years as the prodigal son of like, I don't want you, Father, just give me your stuff and I'm out. And being able to come back and like meet just a handful of people that were willing to invite me back after being away, and then challenging me, hey, you should probably go to confession. And like looking back now 8 years later, like that confession is still like a touch point in my life. I'm like, that is where my life changed. And taking that and looking back and like, all right, how would I have treated myself 8, 9, 10 years ago, and kind of putting myself in their shoes really, really helps with that. Because like, yeah, we're all just trying to figure it out, and just trying to be faithful, and that can be hard sometimes. So, yeah, I'm just excited to be able to get out and share that and be, an instrument of God's grace in that capacity. So.
It's so funny you mentioned confession, because that was literally the same thing that brought me back as well.
Awesome.
I went to a confession and was like this poor priest, I was yelling at him because I was so angry, and he's like, "Trust me, God can take it. You're fine."
Yeah, exactly.
But that speaks to the power of the sacrament of being able to go to confession. Let's get that out of the way. Everybody needs to go. But you mentioned having certain people being able to kind of guide you back. Was there anybody in particular that was like super influential in showing you the path and kind of guiding you in that direction?
Yeah, I think originally it was the people. So I went to Bloomsburg, and at the beginning of every year there's like an activities fair or whatever, and it was just a crew of people from the campus ministry with a stand there. There's like, grabbed me and like, "Are you Catholic?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, "All right, perfect. We have mass tonight. You should come." And I'm like, "Okay." And little did I know, like, all those people would end up being my friends then, and they really helped me along the way. But also the priest who was there at the time, kind of just being able to just help me to at my own pace, like, come to see what it is that God is doing in my life and the care that he has for me. I think that was one of the hardest hurdles to get over at the beginning is, we hear in our CCD classes and we hear over and over again, like, God loves everybody. But then we hear that and we exclude ourselves.
We've unfortunately run out of time. But if you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, you can listen to us anytime on Spotify under Candid Catholic Convos, or you can download this episode from our website at hbgdiocese.org. Thank you so much for listening. Our goal at the Diocese of Harrisburg is to walk with you on your faith journey. So if this episode resonated with you in any way, the easiest way to show your appreciation is by sharing this program with your network, or by leaving a review on your listening platform. You can also support us financially by making a donation online at hbgdiocese.org/DAC and clicking the Make a Donation button. Thanks again, and we'll see you at church on Sunday.